Hi, everybody, and welcome to my January forecast. Happy New Year, and here's to another year of adventure. And hopefully, everybody will also be experiencing health and abundance. Um, I've got my cloth in front of me, and we're going to see where things are going for this month. So we'll start off, and not all of the die ended up on the page. So we're going to start off and see what's showing up where. So our action die is, I'm not sure if it's even on the page. Let's have a look here. I think that it is not showing up. So we will skip that one. When I cast the die, some of them stay off the page. They go off the mat. So Happy New Year, Amanda. Thanks for joining me. So yeah, so we won't count those ones that aren't there. So the first one we have is the Alchemist die, and it's showing up way under history. And hi, Jen. And it's probably hard to see here, but it's a little cross with a circle in it. And that one is prima materia. Hi, Evangelina. Thank you so much, everybody. Hi, Jennifer. You guys are all so sweet. Appreciate you showing up. Happy New Year to all of you. With this particular one, um, it can speak to the ephemeral nature of pure reality, but more often it relates to the raw stuff that's given to us. It's merely the core purity of things. So basically, when it's showing up under history, it's just saying your history is what it is. Don't read anything more into it than what actually has happened in your life. Thank you very much, Deborah. I appreciate that. Yes, welcome to 2025. Here we go. Our alley die is showing up as a cat with a, it's not called strays. It's like it's missing an eye. So I don't know if you can see that, but that's showing up under without. So we're kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum here. And it speaks to those abandoned by the world, the system, or you can be used specifically. It means things that have been abandoned or lost, and you must recognize what's been left behind in your actions in your haste to enact change. Some things we learn to let be stray, some we must find a way to return to the flock. So it's showing up under the present. Um, Hi, May. Uh, they fell off the mat. You're stronger than you think. No, it's like when I dropped the die, there's so many of them. Sometimes it knocks some and they come off the mat, which means they're not meant for this reading, which, by the way, includes the chaos die this time. So it's not on the spread this time. So this one under the present is saying that you might be making some changes really fast and kind of lose something along the way. So you want to pay attention to that. It's going to make more sense as we go. So the attentions die is showing up in the core and it's showing up as a lantern. So that's it right there. It's interesting in the core, we've got four that are showing up there. So it typically sets the boundaries for what the reading will cover, focusing on the people closest to us and narrowing our view. So we're going to have a narrow view for January. And by the way, after I'm doing this, I am going to be pulling cards for people. So if you're kind of curious about what's coming up for you, what you need to be paying attention to this month, I will be doing card pulls at the end of this. So the autumn die is also showing up. It's showing up under the past. It's an hourglass and it represents time and acceptance of things moving, of growing, of changing. It's showing up under the past. And again, it's saying take from your past that it is what it is. Instead, look at how has it helped me to grow? What have I learned from the past? That's far more important to be looking at than to dwell in the past. So we're using the past as fuel for our fire going forward. Okay. The chaos die is not on the board, so we can skip that one entirely. The elements die is on the board, and it's showing up as these waves. See that there? And it's also showing up in the present. So it's fire, and it's an often unconsidered element of fire is that it's stubborn. It's hard to grow without obvious and clear aid. Once it begins to grow, it will not move unless it's forced to do so. So fire is the will to succeed, to complete works. So the fact that it shows up in the present saying, watch if you're being hasty, something might get lost. It's saying there's a strong desire now to move forward on things. Just make sure that you move everything along that you're supposed to, that you don't miss anything along the way. So that's what it's emphasizing for us. And I'm just going to see if we've come to the card yet that is pulled for this time. I think we have, but I'm just double checking on that. No, so we're still good. Okay. The fate die is showing up under inevitable, and it's showing up as these numbers. And May says, yay, no chaos die. Woohoo. Chaos is part of life, right? Sometimes we need chaos because not all change can be incremental. But yes, I can understand why you're happy it's not there. So the fate die, it's the 777 can be a good omen of things to come. Trials and endeavors being circumvented, unexpected financial support, winning a lottery ticket. Um, it can also be a warning of good fortune coming into your life that may be mistaken for something earned. In other words, if you get good fortune, be grateful for it, but don't see it as something like, well, I deserve that. Stay humble, in other words. So it's showing up under inevitable is saying what we also saw in December. And I don't know how many of you went through something really difficult, really a sense of loss in December, but worked out. We got that message. We're getting this again. And Jen says, I love the 777s, right? So it's saying inevitably, everything that's happening is for your good, it's for your growth, just like we got from the past. Use that as your fuel to grow from here. Don't dwell in it. It's saying ultimately everything works out. Ultimately, we're all heading toward the light. As Ram Dass put it, we're all just walking each other home. So don't take anything too seriously. Just try and learn to grow from it. Happy New Year's, Darlene. I appreciate all of you popping in, especially on New Year's Day. You guys are all very cool. All right, the Goblin die. Goblin die is on the mat. And it is showing up as a feather pen in the future. I've never seen this face before. So we all get to discover together what that one means. It's about writing. Writing in a reading often speaks of our need for mindful completion of tasks, taking our time and doing things by hand, feeling the intention of each step. So when we look at it that way, it's saying there's a lot of learning going on here. Don't be too hasty in the present to move too quickly. Something might get missed. We got that with the stray one. The pen is saying be methodical going forward. What am I learning? How am I applying it? What intention am I setting to work with what I'm learning? And Shelly says, I don't want chaos for a while. 777, my favorite numbers. Right on. I appreciate you guys popping in on all of this. So the card that we pulled for this time is the Stitch Queen. And what it says about her, so she influences the whole reading. She explicitly points to someone in power over the situation, who believes they control or should control the current situation. It's not folly to desire control. Many things in our lives can leave us with a desire for this. Um, if we perform, it says sometimes things are simply easier when we have control. We can know intimately, deeply what it is we want. Sharing space with control means giving up your vision, your faith in what you want to create or cause. So, desiring control to have all the details in your hands to mold is not bad, nor does it make us bad. Sometimes it's needed. So the way I see that when I'm looking at this spread for January is it's about creating structure. What am I learning? How am I applying it? So a lot of times we make resolutions in January. A resolution should be based this time not on this is what I want to do, but how do I apply what I'm learning? What's been happening in my life in 2024? How am I learning from that? And then how do I apply that? A lot of times I'll be working with people, I'll say something, and they'll go, "Oh, I know." And I'll say, "Okay, how are you applying what you know?" I think that's really important to take into consideration this month. How are you applying what you know? You can read all the books, you can you can learn all the stuff, but if you're not applying it, it's not benefiting you. So what did you learn from 2024? How are you going to apply it going forward? Even if it's one small changes build on each other to become a bigger change over time. So steady as she goes, rather than make a sweeping resolution that you're going to do for 24 hours and that's going to be the end of it. How do you apply what you know in a slow, structured manner that isn't reckless, doesn't miss anything along the way, but just starts to build something comprehensive for you? Okay? All right. So the influences die is showing up on the map. And it's also under inevitable. It looks like this. I don't know if you can see it in this light, it being evening, but that particular one is sun and flower. So in a reading, it means a purely supportive, positive relationship with somebody who just wants to see you grow. Or it might be that you are the sun, raising and supporting, lifting up another. In any case, it's entirely positive. Again, it's showing up under inevitable. It's saying you're headed in a good direction. How well you do when you get there, how well you grow, depends on, are you creating structure? Are you taking control of the situation and using what you know? May says, so are the cards guiding us to see how the past fuels, feeds into our future creations, this giving us a bigger picture of our purpose? Well, people often say, what's my purpose? And purpose can change over time. I do believe our soul has a path for us to walk, and a lot of my work is helping you to tune in to the parts of you that are unconscious and integrate them so they can release the wisdom that they have for you to guide you on your path. But when we focus on that someday big thing, we often miss all the steps along the way. What's your purpose now? How does your soul's journey manifest now? Because this is the moment in which you can be effective. If you're thinking too far forward, often what we'll do is we'll have these grand ideas, but we aren't actually working on getting there. I was watching a podcast and I really liked it. It was Simon Sinek, and I really liked what he had to say. He said, the people who accomplish the most talk about it the least. They don't waste their energy explaining to other people what they're going to do, possibly to risk that person saying, "Oh, I don't think you can do that," and putting it down and adding their spin on it. They just quietly go about making things happen. And then suddenly people are going, "Wow, how did you accomplish that?" But they were quietly working on it all along. And Kathy says, Happy New Year, filled with love, peace, and adventure. Aw, thank you, Kathy. And same to you. I just really appreciate everybody popping in and sharing, and just sharing the energy, the excitement of a new year upon us. The kindness die shows an arrow through the heart. It is also showing up under present. So what we've had under present so far is the determination to make things happen. Careful not to move too fast or you might lose something along the way. So let's see how this one applies now. It says it's acknowledging the heart is struck. Cupid's arrow has set the querent after someone or something. Life is good and something is driving a consistent production of good brain chemicals. So in other words, it's saying with these three die, what you are learning from the past Happy New Year, Norma. I appreciate you guys so much. What we're learning from the past is now going to give us determination, passion to move forward. Just make sure nothing's missed along the way. And sometimes this dice can mean something has to be let go of in order to move forward. So you'll know in your situation whether you're moving too quickly and missing something, or whether there's something or someone, some situation that you need to let go of in order to use that fire, that passion, that determination to take the next step on your journey. Okay, our next die is the longings die. I don't know if this one's actually on the mat. Um, I don't see it, so I think it's not. Again, when I drop the die, some of the dice go on a different journey. Okay, the majors die is showing up, and it's also in the core. So we've got this die, which kind of looks like two hearts joined, one larger than the other. And it carries with it the travails of love, as well as the good parts. So it can be infatuation, obsession, or the waning of love. So, in other words, it's the rise and fall of emotion. It can speak to relationships. So, when it's showing up in the core of a reading, it's either reading about a relationship or about the dedication you have for your question. So, again, when we look at this as the overall dedication, it's, how dedicated are we to making the next steps in our life happen? Um, just want to go back for a sec to the attentions die, which was the lantern, and it sets the boundaries for what the reading will cover. So it's saying very specifically, isn't it interesting? It's January, the month where we all make resolutions. And so far in the core, it's constricting us to a very specific dedication to the task at hand. It's very much about resolutions this month. So I think this is super cool. Okay. So the Mariner's die is showing up under the future, and it's showing up as the compass. And it's basically the skill set needed to use the compass is of utmost importance to this phase. Knowing how to set your course, how to set your goals, what's being spoken about here. How funny is that? It's showing up under future. And again, it's all about the goal setting this month. By the way, if you go to my YouTube channel, Benita K. Hudson, that's Kay, I have a whole series on goal setting that you might find interesting if you're looking for podcasts to watch. The metamorphosis die is showing up under the past. And so you can see it's the butterfly just starting to emerge from the cocoon. Or is it? No, it's the caterpillar. And so it's the quiet patience of the caterpillar. It's gathering its materials for its transformation. So it is again emphasizing take what's happened in the past to learn from it. How is it fodder for what you want to do going forward? So, for example, when we get caught up in complaining, rather than complain and say, this didn't work out and I wasn't happy about that, instead say, okay, so what am I going to do about that? How am I going to apply energy going forward based on what I've learned from that experience? Aw, you're welcome, Sandy. She says, always looking for podcasts. Yeah, I've got quite a few. I have, gosh, I think it's like 115 videos on my YouTube channel now. I haven't podcasted for a while just because I tend not to unless I feel like I have something to say. And I've already said a lot. So there will be more, but there's a lot on there right now if you're looking for cool stuff to watch. All right, the obstacles die is showing up also in the core, and it is showing up as yet to come. So it's a little clock. And when it shows up in the core, it's based on time. The reading's about the confluence of events and how they line up or don't, and what the fallout may be as a result. So the way I read that with the die that have already showed up there is it's saying you only have a certain amount of time to set intention and get going on it. Don't let this be a year where you come up with ideas and you don't do anything with them. In fact, what I'm going to suggest is write down something specific that you're going to accomplish this year and give it a time frame. Even if you say for this year, this is something I'm going to work on, but have a goal in mind. And if you watch my video, Goals versus Intentions, you'll see that one of the things I emphasize is a goal should always improve you so that you come out as a better person for it. You've grown in some way. Write that intention down. Put it somewhere that, even if you have it like in the back of your diary, so the end of December of this year, you'll open that and say, what did I accomplish? That's one approach. Another one is to put it on your fridge. Look at it at least once a week. How far have I come along in meeting that goal? What do I need to do to get there? What internal resistance do I have to that? How do I daydream but don't do anything about it? How do I find everything else to do but that? How am I procrastinating? So that your goal is something you keep reminding yourself about. I often think that's more effective than just look at it a year from now. But even sticking it in the back of a diary or a planner at the end of the year can also be a good way of, at the end of the year, taking stock. Did I get there? And if not, why not? But if you're working on it all through the year, by the end of the year, you should be able to look at that and congratulate yourself. I took a workshop once where we were asked to write down several goals, put them in an envelope, and the workshop facilitator would send them to us in 3 months' time. And at the time, I placed the intent to buy a house, not thinking I was going to be able to accomplish that. And when I got that letter in the mail, I had just closed on a house. So intention's a powerful thing. Okay, the relations die is also in the center. It's the last one in the center. I'm quite fascinated to see how it relates to the other ones. And it's the alone die. So when it's found in the core, it speaks to the whole reading focused on the individual that's being read, but now focus more on the reasons for and the consequences of being so very alone. It suggests that there's some pain to that aloneness. Um, So the way I read it, and remember, when you're doing a reading like this, you have to look at what all the die involved put together are saying. So the way I read this is it's saying, this is a very specific thing you need to work on this month. Only you can do it. Nobody can do this for you. And you only have so much time to get going. So think of this month as the month of activation. I'm going to set an intention. I'm going to be specific about it. I'm going to take responsibility to achieve it. I'm not going to put it on anybody else, and I'm not going to blame anybody if it didn't happen. This is me. This is my journey. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give myself a set amount of time to accomplish this, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year. But the whole idea is to give it a deadline that you then have to measure yourself against. Am I doing this? Am I staying on target? Am I staying on schedule? This is about this month, this year, getting very specific and very structured about accomplishing your goals. There's nothing wishy-washy about this reading at all. Okay. The spring die is next to the compass, which was saying get structured, get specific, have an aim for the future. And this one is flight. So it's a bunch of birds taking off in flight. And it says it often speaks to freedom, the ability to escape difficult situations or the need for either. In freedom, it can sometimes be talking about trips or travel plans, sometimes has a more metaphorical meaning, like the freedom from an oppressive job or from a controlling partner, friend, or family member. If it ends up over another die, it speaks of the other die being something to be escaped from or traveled over or away from. So because this die was about, again, a compass, direction, intention. I see these two together as saying freedom in your future is based on the actions you take now. So we have more freedom, we have more comfort, we have more grace in our lives if we're doing the work. You can have a lot of internal challenges working through fears and limiting beliefs and resistance, and have a very peaceful external life because you're doing that internal work. When we avoid the work inside of ourselves, we tend to create more chaos on the outside. So, those of you who've spoken today and said, "Oh my God, I hate chaos," then deal with the chaos inside of you, and you're going to find things around you tend to calm down because the universe doesn't have to put it in your face to get you to look at it. You're already looking, right? So, if you want to create some goals this year, also bear in mind there will be internal changes that have to go along with making those goals manifest. So, for example, if you're going, all right, I kind of overindulged at Christmas. Um, if you envision yourself as a slimmer, healthier person, and then you start thinking about how does that kind of person behave, you start to do the things to get yourself healthy again, right? You start to move in that direction. So that's another thing I'm going to add to the goal setting. Envision yourself as the person who's achieved that goal. And then every day, as you're going about your day, you can kind of check in as that person. For example, when I was first becoming a writer, one of the things I learned was to not say, I'm an aspiring writer. You use that word, you're telling your psyche, I am never getting there. I'm a writer. And so I've published books and magazine articles. I've been a journalist. I've done all that, right? Editor of a national magazine. It started by saying, I'm a writer. So whatever your goal is, make it a statement. I am this. I have accomplished this. Write it as a statement that is finalized. And then as you're going about your day, as somebody who has accomplished that, how are you behaving? What choices are you making? And do they reflect the person you have decided you are, or the thing you have decided you will accomplish, or are they holding you back, or are they a redirection? Pay attention to that. Okay, let's see what else we have here. And for those of you just coming on, I will post this on my Facebook and my YouTube channel. And if you subscribe to my newsletter, you will also get a copy sent in the newsletter. And after I've finished the reading, forecast for the month, I will be pulling cards, so do stay tuned for that. So the suits die is showing up under momentum. We have this little chalice. So the chalice is anything that can fill a cup. So cups are finite, they're easily overfilled. Be sure to check your emotions when you see the cup's face. So it's saying, remember how we got in the present? We have fire, which is determination. We have passion. The momentum here is saying use the fire, use the passion, use the determination to propel you into that future where this is structured, where you gain freedom through taking structured, clear action on your goals. We're getting a super specific reading for January resolution setting. I'm kind of flabbergasted by it. I think it's super cool. So, in the past, everything we've had has been very matter of fact. Don't dwell on the past. Don't focus on complaining or resenting or ruining the past. Just say, okay, it is what it is. What am I learning from it? How am I using that as fuel for the fire to move me forward this year? So, this one that also shows up in the past is called gain. And with gain, it's the time to go back and collect the things we really earned from our life and hold up our earnings as a badge of honor. So again, it's saying with the past, what did you learn? What did you gain? We can either be victims of our past or we can choose to learn from it. I have an attitude is that if somebody is determined to make your life difficult, place the intent to have a fabulous life anyway. We can take all our losses and we can dwell on them and let them pull us under, or we can say, I get to choose how I respond. And this goes back to Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. You know, if you've ever read the book, it's a hard book. It's a gritty book. This is a man who lived through the concentration camps. But what he learned when he went there, he made a study of the idea that people can do all kinds of things to you. Terrible things can happen in your life. You always have a choice over how you respond to them. And that's what we're learning from this. The past, it is what it is. Don't dwell on it. Use it for your fuel to move forward. And the winter die is not on the mat. The wounds die is. It also shows up in the past. And the one that it's showing up as is gutted. Okay. And the gutted die speaks to someone who feels so utterly destroyed, empty, often from a betrayal. So it's saying you might have gone through some really, really difficult things when you were younger. What's helped me, because there's a lot of stuff I went through in my younger years, is believing that my soul chose these experiences as the training for the gifts I'm here to offer others. What a difference it makes when instead of going, why me, you go, why did my soul choose that? What am I supposed to learn from it? What skills am I supposed to gain? What insights? And how can I use that as my contribution going forward to support others in my life? Because aren't we all here to make a contribution? We're here to learn, to grow, to love, to play, and to support others in their awakening as well. We're all waking up together. And May says, like hormonal teenagers. Oh, the main thing is we're supposed to be structured here, so we're not going off on any tangents. We're going to take that passion, take that determination, and structure to go forward. And Alex, thanks for jumping in. We're still just on the forecast. I'm just wrapping up with that, and then I will start pulling cards. So that's what we have for January. Use everything you learned to place clear intentions, and do go back and watch this video. I've given several examples of ways to work with goal setting and intention to get really clear on what you're doing this year and really dig in, really end up at the end of the year going, I did that. I became that. That thing that really mattered to me, I didn't daydream. I didn't make excuses. I did it because I built a plan and I already saw myself as having achieved it. And I use that as my measuring stick every day. That thing, am I doing that? Am I making choices that are taking me there every day? Okay, I'm just going to clear this aside and let's get out the cards. So, Alex has already jumped into this, but what I'm going to do um, is I'm going to finish this video so that I have it for the forecast, and then I'm going to come right back again and do the mini reading. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Mwah, love you. Happy New Year. And then I'll come back and do the readings. I'll see you in a sec.